We feel like a big family, our permaculture community in Ukraine.
So although there might be a bomb falling on your head, life continues and you just keep on going to work.
It's difficult now to believe that world is beautiful and it will be beautiful garden all over our planet. Personally, maybe I don't believe it. When you believe in permaculture, you apply these principles just in your life, not only in your garden. Don't stop believing that people are good.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the Food Forest podcast. Today we have a very special person with us. Her name is Anastasiya Volkova and she's leader in Ukrainian permaculture. She heads the NGO Permaculture in Ukraine and is based at the Zeleny Kruchi eco-village about 2 hours driving from Kiev. She manages a biodynamic permaculture homestead and coordinates nationwide efforts. Since the Russian invasion began in February 22, she mobilized permaculture hubs and eco-villages across Ukraine and Europe to host refugees, install more than 23 greenhouses, supply food, heat, tools, and developed Green Road 8 corridors. In my opinion, she's a real hero, so very happy to introduce her to you. Hey Anastasiya, welcome to the Food Forest podcast. How are you doing?
Hello, thank you for inviting me. I'm great, thank you.
So you live about 2 hours from Kiev, which is very central in the war zone, is that correctly?
It's the central part of Ukraine, and we are happy to live in a relatively safe place. Relatively means that drones are flying in our sky almost every night, and sometimes at daytime they are flying towards Kiev, but there is a low risk that they fall in our area. But however, it's always stressful to see them.
Yeah, I can imagine that. And can you safely go to Kiev, or do you never go there anymore?
Yeah, we go to Kiev, of course. Ukraine is a huge country, lots of people stayed in the country and they live their life. In big cities, very often they don't sleep well at night because of the attacks. But in the morning, they continue their life to go to work, to school, to everywhere.
So although there might be a bomb falling on your head, life continues and you just keep on going to work if you live in the capital.
Exactly. And we try to do what we can for our families, for military people.
Wow. So what does it do to your psyche, to your mental well-being, knowing that, okay, I'm continuing my life, but every day a bomb might fall on your head? Isn't that very tricky for your mind?
Yes, it's tricky. And a lot of people are stressed, in depression, especially on the 4th year of the full-scale invasion, because, in the beginning, most people were optimistic that will end in 2 weeks. Okay, 2 more weeks. Okay, 2 more weeks, 2 more weeks. But slowly we begin to adapt and understand that it will be for years, unfortunately. Now we can't see the end of it. And we have to adapt ourselves, find ways to continue our life.
And mental well-being wise, what are the things that people are doing to keep their sanity and keep kind of spark in their lives?
There are lots of psychological support right now. It became very popular. And me and people who work with the plants, with the soil, we find it also very helpful. I find relaxing because, when I go out from my house, we live in the countryside in an eco-village. I have a beautiful garden. It's peaceful. It's beautiful. If you don't read news, you may imagine that nothing is happening, but of course you read news, you see these drones, you live in this context, and you understand that you're very, very lucky to have your small, peaceful place in this country on war.
Yeah, I can imagine. So you've been holding space for regenerative education and permaculture practice in Ukraine for years, but when the full-scale war started, everything changed. So what shifted inside you the most when that crisis began? And how did your relationship with the land and with people transform?
So our organization began in 2012, and we were conducting permaculture courses, conferences, translating books. And we also started a network of permaculture centers. So these are locations in different parts of Ukraine where people were practicing permaculture, mainly in the countryside, and showing it, demonstrating it to others. When the full-scale Russian invasion began, it was a normal process that people from the big cities were going to the countryside where it was safer. So people started coming to our places, permaculture centers, eco-villages, because we have two friendly organizations that work more or less in the same field. And like coordinators of this organization, we understood that we had to help this process, and we were just starting managing it. And we created a map of this location that were ready to host people, and distributing this map and collecting support and providing it to this location. And this all began a very big project that was later called Green Road of Eco-Villages. And in 3 years, we hosted around 3,000 people. Most of them came just for a short period and then went abroad or went back to the city, but some of them stayed. In my community, one family joined. They thought for several days, but finally they bought a house and they joined the community. My parents came to live with us and still live and help a lot. So yeah, in something that's very strange, because war, it's a terrible thing. It's a terrible thing, but in some ways it created sometimes something good, very small but good.
Yeah, they sometimes say that war or crises often strip things down to their essence. And what is it that this war revealed to you about what truly matters in life and work and how we relate to nature?
Yeah. So more people understood that it's good to have your own house, your own garden, and to be self-sufficient as much as possible. And we also saw the meaning of the networks, because this project became possible because we had already a network. People knew each other. The founders of those locations knew us as coordinators. We knew them. We could provide that support. And also, on the first day of the full-scale invasion, it was a food collapse in the country because everything stopped working. But in the countryside, people had their stocks of food. And our permaculture network began at once distributing their stocks. Who needs cheese? We can send you cheese. Who needs seedlings of tomatoes? We can send you seedlings of tomatoes and seeds. We saw the strength in it, yeah. But of course, war, it brought and can continue bringing lots of awful things to our country. People are dying on the front line in the cities. Many people had to go abroad, and I don't think that they will come back, of course. It's a huge loss for our country, and economical situation is bad, psychological situation is bad, but we try to do what we can. And as for our organization, besides hosting people, we continued our educational activities. And our main target group became internally displaced people, because there were also millions of Ukrainians who had to leave, to flee their home and move to the mainly western part of Ukraine, where it is safer. And a lot of them found themselves in the countryside with no or little experience. This is now our target audience, and we provide permaculture education to them. We find grant support to make it less expensive or for free, because they don't have enough possibility to pay for education. And also we have this network of permaculture centers, and each of them has its own specialty. For instance, we have a big farm in Dnipro region. It's close to the front line. It's not safe there. But they began in the first days hosting lots of animals abandoned by people who were fleeing the war. All kinds of animals they did, and they continue doing a huge work. And on the other side, they began hosting people from Dnipro city who came for several days for rehabilitation. So they matched animals and people,
Wow.
and it works really well.
Wow, beautiful.
And also we have other locations who continue hosting people for small tours, like rehabilitation work. People come to the peaceful countryside, spend day with nature, with plants, and go back to their cities in a better state.
Yeah, what you probably definitely need, I think there's a physical war going on, but there's also psychological warfare going on. I think it must be killing people on the inside to live under so much stress and fearing for your life every day. Permaculture is often prescribed as something or described as something that will bring resilience. And you already told me that you were the ones actually that were resilient during the beginning of the invasion, and that you helped a system that was much more disrupted to survive and give food. How do you personally stay resilient as a person day by day through grief, disruption, fatigue, you, but also other permaculturists or food foresters across the country?
Just everyday work with your plants, with the soil, it helps. And the community helps because we feel like a big family, our permaculture community in Ukraine. We try to support each other. In our network, we have regular Zoom calls to exchange news, just to talk. And this also helps. And also international support. That means a lot. When we are often invited as representatives of our organization, we are often invited to international conferences to speak about our experience, like to this podcast. And it gives us like feeling that we are not abandoned. And one day, hope normal life will come back to Ukraine and we will be able to invite all our supporters to our beautiful locations.
Yeah, I can imagine that having that support of the international community can be like a very big hug from a distance, let's say.
From time to time, even volunteers come personally, and that is also a great support. Like
from abroad,
yeah.
So they can come and they find a way to enter the country.
It's not a problem to enter a country. Absolutely not. It's a problem for our men to go. They are not allowed to cross the border. Or Ukrainian men are stuck in the country. A foreigner can easily enter.
Enter and leave. Okay. But and how with their car? Probably not by train or airplane, or can
by
they?
train, by car, by bus. There are no airplanes. I'm dreaming about the sound of a normal airplane in the sky, because when you hear an airplane, you know it's a military airplane now.
Yeah. Permaculture is all about a long-term vision and a deep care for place. How do you reconcile that slow, patient mindset with the speed and brutality of war?
Mainly in our country, permaculture is popular for very small estates. We have been promoting for many years the creation of permaculture farms, but for present, I haven't seen any really big farm. Mainly it's for personal homesteads. But also we found another application of permaculture now, and we are working in this field. We have researchers like in land after military activities. And that is very important because we have huge amounts of land that is contaminated. And after the victory, that I'm sure will come one day, we will have to do something with this land. So we are working already, conducting from time to time conferences, gathering the researchers in this field, and I hope that we will be able to contribute to it. And it's a slow process. It's a slow process for sure.
I can imagine. And contamination, that's what is it? Is it landmines? Is it chemicals that have been spilled? Is it heavy metals? Is it PFAS?
Mainly it's heavy metals. Heavy metals after bomb explosions.
And then you're like looking into phytoremediation, using plants to suck up all the heavy metals and then removing those plants? Stuff like that?
Yeah, different kinds of remediation with plants, with biochar. Different discussions are going on in this field.
Yeah. So you are already preparing for victory. That's probably also good for the morale.
Yes.
Yeah, I can imagine. So you have been teaching since 2012. How have your teachings or your designs changed since the war began? Are the permaculture principles that feel even more relevant now than they did in the peacetime? Or permaculture principles that you say, okay, that doesn't work during wartime?
No, of course they work. It's a universal thing. When you believe in permaculture, you apply these principles just in your life, not only in your garden. It didn't change. Our main target groups have changed, but permaculture is a universal thing, and we continue trying to share it with as many people as possible in Ukraine. For instance, last year we began a new project creating a permaculture community spaces in the cities, like creating permaculture designs for schools, for hospitals, because these places are needed for rehabilitation, for seeing something beautiful, but also when there is something beautiful and the stand that says about principles of permaculture, more people can learn about it, find our website. We have lots of free webinars. For instance, after the full-scale invasion, we opened access to all our online trainings for free, for more people to have access to it.
Yeah, that's super nice that you've done that and super impactful. But I can imagine that For example, some permaculture principles, and I'm just thinking about the big book from Bill Mollison and David Holmgren, who's also part of the Food Forest podcast, that one of the principles, for example, is recognizing patterns, and you can go really meta and go really big about that. Isn't it so that now during wartime, you are like more focused on how do you plant vegetables that like yield a lot so we can survive famines if there are food shortages? Isn't there like a deeper focus now on more the essence of permaculture, or not really?
I wouldn't say that, because some people use permaculture mainly for growing food and growing more, and some people use it like philosophy in their life, not to go crazy, small and slow solutions. A lot of people now say in Ukraine that you can't be effective in your job 100%, and you have to accept it. It's not possible when you live under stress. Sometimes just accept that you can do only small and slow solutions.
Yeah. For people who are not super familiar with permaculture, what are some permaculture principles you can apply in your life? Like, even if you're not gardening? Can you give me a concrete example of somebody working as an accountant, going in Kiev to his or her work every day, that would implement permaculture principles?
My favorite principle: the problem is the solution, and it helps you in your everyday life. When something doesn't go well, but then you see that it created something good for you, and when you shift your mind in this way, life becomes easier and better, and it can be applied anywhere. To see the productive ages when you work in two fields and you can combine it and have a better result, that's also a permaculture principle that can be applied in social area.
Can you explain this one a little bit more?
When you have water and you have soil, this age is more productive.
Oh, the edge. Yeah, okay. And how would that apply to an accountant working in Kiev, for example?
An accountant working in Kiev. Okay, if you find a colleague that works in another sphere, but you can combine your knowledges, maybe you can be more effective for both of you.
Okay, so the accountant, for example, talks with the web designer of his firm, and then they meet, and then, for example, the web designer says, but like if we would build this web application form, then the tax thing would go much easier, for example.
Yeah,
and
for instance,
the edge effect.
Exactly.
All right. Okay, I understand. Okay, yeah, interesting. That gardening and life are closer to each other than you might think. All right. So we've already talked about this a little bit, but do you think that permaculture thinking can, besides like rebuild houses and rebuild gardens, also rebuild culture and dignity, and that it might even become a part of Ukrainian mindset for the couple of decades? Would that help?
We believe in it in our permaculture community. By the way, last year we had Starhawk, a famous person in social permaculture, who came in person and held a training in my eco-village and permaculture center. And we were talking about trauma a lot, how to heal it with permaculture principles also. But I don't think that it will really become national scale in Ukraine. We have our community, and we try to share as much as possible. But I don't think that it will become as popular as for all Ukrainians. Those who feel this connection, they join us, and we try to help them. However, in the scale of our country, we are a small fish.
Yeah.
But a beautiful fish.
Yeah, I can imagine. For some people, if you talk about permaculture, it's the word cult is in permaculture. Is it like people who are like never heard about it and heard about philosophy and implementing in your life? How would you say to other people about, is it dogmatic, for example?
Permaculture? I wouldn't say so. Like in any field, there are people who say that permaculture should be like this, and others say, no, it's a very open system. Personally, I believe that it's an open system and it can adapt.
So you wouldn't say it's almost a religious thing for some people?
No, I don't have this vision at all, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, it's good to know, because some people who are listening to the Food Forest podcast don't have a lot of knowledge about permaculture. Could you maybe tell a little bit more about what the essence of permaculture is, so they would know?
Well, most people understand permaculture like growing food, and maybe a very simple explanation like it's a way of having a yield, obtaining a yield without harming the nature, and trying to follow in the nature rules. And I think it's the easiest way for people to understand. Of course, later you can explain that it's also about social systems. It's less easy, maybe.
Yeah. And what has been used a lot in more corporate worlds is people, planet, profit. Most of the people have heard about it, but what people don't know is that permaculture had something similar, which is even older than the people, planet, profit.
Maybe. I don't know a lot about it.
The people, care, earth share, and fair share.
Yeah.
Those three permaculture principles, which are basically the same like people, planet, profits, they have been around much earlier than the people, planet, profit.
I haven't heard about people, planet, profit. Okay. Okay, now I see.
Yeah. So permaculture is really a trendsetter and thing. So and thing that is now like applied by a lot of companies from all across the world that say, okay, we have to think about people, about the planet, and about the profit. And then I always think, but permaculture was first with the three visions. All right, I would like to talk to you about working with others in the chaos of crisis. Coordination can sometimes feel difficult. How do you maintain trust and momentum within the community, and how do you lead without burning out?
I was burnt out. Yes, of
were you?
course. Yeah, like many activists now in Ukraine. Yeah, because we've been working like crazy in the first year. And last year it was very difficult for me personally. This year I feel much better. I have big support from other people in my organization. And we try, as I said, about regular calls, sometimes personal meetings, that we try to be gentle with each other, to support each other. So communities are really great. And now I truly believe in the strength of community, because I have my permaculture community, and I also live in an eco village. When Ukraine was in chaos, we lived in our bubble with mutual support, with help, and that was amazing. And we have also a network of eco-villages in Ukraine with strong connections with European eco-villages, and that was really supportive. So I believe in communities, I believe in networks, and I think that you should begin creating communities and networks now, not waiting
for a war
yes,
starts.
not waiting for a war, not waiting for crisis, because world is going crazy and we don't know what will be in next years in any part of it.
If there would be one thing that really helped you to deal with your burnout, what would that be?
Go on holiday. I'm dreaming about going on holiday with my husband, because we used to travel a lot and now it's not possible because men are stuck. Not only in the country, but we have a very aggressive mobilization in the country. Even if you don't feel like you're ready to fight, you can be taken from the street and sent to the army despite your religion or things like this. And some men are not ready. They try to do what they can, work and donate, but not ready to fight. And those men just have to stay at home. That's also hard. Yeah. And it's a very, very difficult question, because on the other side, lots of men protect us and let us live our life. And I have a very big respect for them, and also try to do what I can, like donations for the army.
Yeah. You said you were burnt out like last year, but now you're being better.
Yes.
What's like the one thing that made you feel better? Because you couldn't go on holiday, right? You had to find something else to do.
I travel a lot for my organization, and that helps me also. Yeah, going to different gatherings, conferences, and I do it with my 4-year-old daughter, who travels with me. And to see before the war, I wanted to show her how this world is beautiful. Now I try to continue do it, but inside of me, it's so difficult. When you see these atrocities, you think, wow, the world is crazy. But still.
Yeah, what do you tell your 4-year-old child?
Yeah.
And can you personally leave the country?
Yes, I can feel it. Yeah, women can.
Yeah. So you've also been to other parts in Europe during the war to go to conferences?
Yes, a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
This May,
And
we've
okay,
been to the Great Britain because our organization was honored to receive the Lush Spring Prize. It's one of
wow,
the
congratulations.
biggest prizes in permaculture field. Permaculture Magazine
Wow.
Award. They recognized our efforts in hosting people and spreading permaculture knowledge in Ukraine despite the war.
Wow. That's super good. Yeah. And I can imagine that, for example, going to Great Britain, you can like relax for a couple of days, like maybe not think about all the atrocities, and that can probably show. It helps if you see as a person like a place where you can go to, like see that okay, here peace can exist, and let's imagine if this peace that I saw here in Great Britain also comes to Ukraine. So I can imagine that it gives you extra hope.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. First trips were difficult psychologically because you live in a war and you go to other country and there is a normal life. How can that be? But then you begin to accept, yeah, okay, of course, the life goes on. And there are so many wars in our world, not only in Ukraine.
I can imagine that you come out of war and then you see like people arguing about the most stupid stuff and then think, what the hell are you arguing about? We are dying.
Yes, but at the same time, even in Ukraine, some people, it's also like a way of psychological way of
Blocking
staying
out.
sane. Yeah, you go to some young people go to a nightclub because
And just party.
just party.
It's important to do so, probably. Yeah, yeah. What little things give you the most of strength during these times?
My daughter and other children in our community, because I also run a kindergarten in our community, and it really gives me support, inspiration. I want to continue doing what I can, making this world better as much as possible for my daughter and for other children, because they deserve it.
Yeah. And children, they have this inherent optimism, right?
Yes, and we try to protect them. Of course, they know that there is war, but they are lucky to live in a relatively safe place and don't feel it every day. While there are thousands and thousands of children that had to flee their home and now live somewhere else.
Yeah. Sometimes even good intentions, they don't work out. Have there ever been moments during this crisis where something failed and you felt lost in your mission? If yes, what helped you find direction again during those times?
There were critical moments when you had to accept that the war will not end in 2 weeks, and it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. That was difficult, but we have to do it. As I said, communities, networks, great people around me that continue fighting, that helps.
Yeah, that's something that I hear that you really repeat often, that the importance of networks, and then like you said, the importance of having that network before a crisis happens. So a lot of people nowadays, even if they live in the countryside or live in an apartment in a city, they don't know their neighbors. They barely talk to each other. But then, yeah, you don't build up this trust and relationship. So if something happens, it's easier to grab your machine gun than to give your hand to the neighbor. So I think if there's already one takeaway that I'm constantly hearing back is go to your neighbor, bake that cake and give a cake to your neighbor and introduce yourself.
Exactly. And exchange zucchinis, carrots, and yes, everything they have a lot.
Yeah. Has this time of war challenged your beliefs about land, about peace, and even about the role of humans, not only in nature, but on the planet itself?
Yes, it's challenged. As I said, it's difficult now to believe that world is beautiful and it will be beautiful garden all over our planet. Personally, maybe I don't believe it, but I believe that I can create my own garden. For instance, we have 4 hectares of land and we plant a food forest there. It's young, but we continue doing it. And I want to make it beautiful. I want to make it productive, and it will be our small paradise for our children, for other people who will come here and be healed by it. That's what I believe now. So small solutions in this great chaos.
Yeah. And we often talk about the circle of influence you have as a person. That's exactly what you're doing, right? Looking at what thing can I influence? Because if you look at the mass mobilizations, for example, or other things, what can an individual do about it? And there is a Dutch philosopher called Rutger Bregman, and he has written a book which says that most people are good. Do you still believe in the goodness of people?
Yes, I believe in the goodness of people.
Yeah. You haven't lost hope on humanity itself.
Yeah, but just even when we think about Russian people, it's because of the propaganda. They are like this. Mainly, maybe in their nature, they are not as bad, but what propaganda does to people, that's crazy. And that's also awful that even when one day we say, okay, the war has stopped, maybe there is victory, millions of people will continue believing that they have to destroy Ukraine because hundreds and hundreds of years they were taught how to change this in people's mind.
Have you had contact with Russian eco-villages and Russian permaculture organizations? That would be fantastic, right? If you could find a kind of peace via permaculture networks?
I think that we can talk about it only after victory. For present, we were not contacted by them and we are not looking to contact them. No. Right now, it's not the moment to make these contacts because bombs are falling on our heads every night. It goes on, and yeah, maybe one day after the victory, but not now.
Yeah. You don't think that you could create or facilitate peace towards this trying to talk to each other?
I think that the peace can come after the victory, not now.
Yeah. Okay. You work with the 12 permaculture design principles. Which one of those principles has become your personal anchor during these times?
As I said, the problem is the solution because who could imagine that my parents will come and live next to our house and see their granddaughter every day? Yeah, that helps you to stay sane. Try to see the better side of every problem.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Do you have a lot of perennials in your garden?
Yeah, I grow asparagus. I've been doing it for many, many years. Before it became popular in Ukraine, it became popular only several years ago. And of course, lots of fruit trees and herbs, perennial herbs. Yeah, I'm fond of them. Yeah. Unfortunately, not many vegetables. So asparagus is mainly the only perennial vegetable that can grow in our climate. But the climate changes.
Rhubarb?
Rhubarb, yes, but I don't consider it like a vegetable. It's more
Not
not
really. No.
really. Yeah, yeah, we have rhubarb. Yeah, so. But climate changes, unfortunately. Yeah, so soon more possibilities will come, but at the same time there is less and less rain. Really, less and less rain.
Really?
Less
How much
snow.
millimeters of rain do you have?
I don't know in numbers, but I see
year?
it. But the soil is dry, completely dry. There was no snow last winter, and 10 years ago there was lots of snow in this area. So it becomes more and more difficult. Yeah, and we harvest rainwater as much as possible. That helps a lot, and we have to adapt our cultures, what we grow.
Yeah, and for example, the winters, how cold can it get?
This winter it was -10 for several weeks, and it's not cold at all because it used to be -20 with lots of snow.
Wow.
Now it's not cold.
Yeah. What do you have a food forest in your village?
Yes, it's young. For present, nothing really to be proud of, but I believe that one day we will be proud of it. Yeah, we are planting a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we even
Nice.
registered it like a carbon project. We had some support because what we do, it helps to sequestrate carbon also in the soil.
Yeah, definitely. And what type of plants are you growing in your food forest? So people can have a view on a Ukrainian food forest, what it looks like?
Apple trees, pear trees, plums, peaches, black currant, red currant, all this kind gooseberry. We grow a lot of gooseberry, these kind of things.
Nice. Can the pawpaw grow in your climate?
What? Sorry?
The pawpaw,
No.
the Asimina triloba?
No, I'm not sure.
You haven't tried that one?
No, I haven't tried that
Yeah.
one.
Okay. It's like a mango that can be grown in cold, temperate climates.
Okay.
It's very special.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mulberry trees. We have lots of mulberry trees.
Yeah. Do you also have a tradition of eating the leaves?
No, not a tradition at all. We promote it. We have translated a book about edible trees, but not. It's not really in the culture of Ukrainians. Yeah, so people feel weird about it, but it changes with time. Yeah.
Some people think they're monkeys when they start to eat leaves.
Yeah, but at the same time, there were difficult periods in Ukrainian history in the 20th centuries when there were famines, and people ate those herbs, ate those leaves to survive. But when the situation changed, for a lot of people, like it became like we shouldn't do it because it's a symbol of famine.
No, I can understand. Like, okay, I'm never gonna do that again.
Yes, exactly. I think it's also present in the minds of a lot of people.
Which is totally understandable, of course. Though still a missed opportunity because there are so many proteins in mulberry leaves, for example, or in other leaves. Are there? Do you also eat acorns and prepare them?
Yeah, we have one permaculture center that produces coffee drink from acorns, and it becomes more and more popular.
Yeah, and mushrooms.
Yeah, mushrooms. Our forests are full of mushrooms. Yes, we have a lot of them in Ukraine. Yeah,
Because the Ukrainian friends I have, they like know every mushroom in the forest, and they say that they're like taught from a very young age which ones are edible and which ones are not. Is that the same with you?
yeah, it's in Ukrainian culture to harvest mushrooms, so a lot of people know what kind you can harvest and what not, of course. But that's a very popular thing in Ukraine, yeah, to harvest and eat mushrooms.
Yeah, that's something that a lot of people in other countries, they've never had that knowledge, and it would be nice that that knowledge would come back. What would you propose for people like taking first steps and to regaining this knowledge in their culture?
I think that it comes from the regulations of the countries, because I know that I lived in France for 1 year a long time ago, and there I saw that people, they just don't go to forest for walks. While in Ukraine, it's a normal thing, like for weekend, you grab children, you go to the forest camping. It's not forbidden. It was never forbidden. And that's why it's a normal thing to harvest berries and mushrooms, while it's not in the culture of other countries, maybe because of the regulations. You just can't go out where you want and camp and have fire. Maybe because of this. So how to change it? I don't know if there are restrictions. So maybe to create really gardens with them.
Yeah, interesting. Though, yeah. But where in France did you live?
In Paris, in the suburbs of Paris.
In Paris. Yeah. Maybe in Paris people are also too much, have become urbanites too much, because I lived in the south of France and I have the feeling that there they do it a little bit more often than we do in Belgium, for example, finding
Yeah.
mushrooms. But like in Belgium or UK or US, people are super afraid of mushrooms, which is too bad because there is so many richness in them. Do you grow shiitakes or other mushrooms that you like inoculate into trees yourself, or
Personally, me, no. I'm not so fond of the taste of the mushrooms, but some people do. Shiitake is very popular in the supermarkets right now in Ukraine.
And which kind of nut trees do you grow in Ukraine?
We have lots of walnut trees. In my area especially, they just grow everywhere. So we have big quantities of walnuts. You don't even have to plant it because it grows by itself everywhere.
You just have seedlings coming wherever they want
Mice
to.
plant them everywhere in my garden.
All right, that's a good thing. So those nuts also probably help with food security.
Yeah, it helps, of course, because you have your stock of proteins. Yeah, that's easy to grow, easy to harvest.
And are you also big on chestnuts or not?
The chestnuts that you can eat, they grow only in the Carpathians mainly. So in our permaculture centers, we try to plant them, but sometimes in previous years, the winters were too cold for them. Maybe now it will change and we will be able to grow them, because we have another variety of chestnut that are not eatable, and they are more common everywhere.
All right. Yeah. Climate change, the problem can also be the solution.
Exactly. So you have to shift. Yeah.
One day we'll have cocoa nuts.
Yeah, maybe. And also with some illnesses, because we used to have lots of apricots. It was huge amounts of apricots. And then the one fungi became distributed everywhere, and no more apricots nowhere. So now you understand that you don't have to plant apricots. You have to plant something else. There's no sense in it because you can't heal a big tree. It's not possible.
Yeah. So that teaches us the lesson that we should always look for diversity.
Yeah,
And
diversity.
make sure
I
that
have a big diversity in my own garden, and that really helps. If once I don't have one thing, I have another thing.
Would you advise people from anywhere in the world to plant an emergency food forest and really think about, well, if shit hits the fan, if something terrible happens, that you would have your survival food forest?
Yes, I would advise it because we don't know what will be next years, and it's good to have your place where you can live, have water, that's important, and to be at least partially self-sufficient in food.
And what would you advise people to mainly focus yourself on, crop types?
Plant trees and the bushes because you don't have to take care about them every day. In the first year, you have to water them and then they will grow because for vegetables, you have to stay there on the plot of land. But it is to have some knowledge, to go there somewhere, take a course to see how you can grow it, to know where you can take seeds.
Yeah. So Ukrainian people listening to this can follow courses at your place. Is it also in English, the courses you give?
No, in Ukrainian. We have,
Ukrainian.
before the full-scale invasion, we were dreaming about inviting foreign students to Ukraine because we have very strong teachers, really strong teachers in permaculture. So now it's not possible, but one day maybe.
Yeah. Of course, they can follow we offer a course, the Food Forest Design course online that people can follow. Also live trainings, but if you Google it, in your neighborhood, there are always courses you can follow about how to prune trees, how to, even saw trees and how to graft trees. So just, Google around and look at your local, gardening places, preferably organic gardening or permaculture gardening, food forest places. Would you advise on really planting a lot of nut trees for your emergency food forest?
I think that's a good idea because it's a very long-lasting investment. It depends on your place, what nut trees grow there.
Yeah. If you would have a magic stick and a magic wand, and you could do anything with it and make anything possible, what would the first thing be you do?
Stop the wars on this planet, of course.
Yeah.
Just people stop killing each other and live their own life. There's enough space for everywhere on this planet and enough food and enough water, enough of everything.
Yeah, there's such an abundance and we don't acknowledge it.
Exactly.
And what do you believe the first thing a human being or a listener to this podcast can do? Because, peace starts with yourself. What's the most important thing you can do to start peace?
It's a very personal thing. I would suggest start with meditations, but it's not about permaculture. It's more inner thing. To find peace, first of all, in your family. Yeah, it's your closest circle. If you have conflicts in your family, how can you be peaceful with the outer world? Yeah, find peace in your family, then find peace with your friends, with your relatives, with your neighbors, and then you can spread it.
Beautiful. Yeah, little by little, like a butterfly effect. What can people do for your project who are listening right now? How can they support it?
We are always grateful for any kind of donations. We try to distribute them to our permaculture centers. Our last projects were to help locations to buy tanks for harvesting rainwater. That is always needed. If you are brave enough, you can come as volunteer, of course, and help. Locations like my place, relatively safe. You can come and help.
Is there zero risk to come to your place?
It can never be a zero risk in a country on war, but the risk is low. Yeah, we continue living our life. The borders are open for foreigners and you can come. If you are an NGO, we can have a common project. You can contact us. You can easily find our website, Permaculture in Ukraine. You can find our YouTube channels. By the way, we have also a great number of videos in English. because we held several international conferences. Also on agroforestry, we have my colleague, researcher Pavlo Ardanov, who did several international projects with foreign universities. By the way, in Ukraine, we have one university where permaculture is taught, and you have a grade
Really?
in applied
Oh my God.
constructive ecology and permaculture.
Is it in Ukrainian or in
It's in
English?
Ukrainian. For present, it's in Ukrainian.
Right. So we'd have to brush up our Ukrainian. Would it be good for you to have like foreign teachers coming in? Would that help you in any way?
Yes, of course, because it's great to exchange experience. We had Alfred Decker, for instance, who came with a teacher training last year and trained a number of our permaculture teachers. And it's also very inspiring for people when somebody comes, they feel this inspiration to continue the activities so that the world doesn't forget about us. So it's great to come.
Okay. Well,
and we are also looking for online webinars. You can just hold a webinar. We will be happy to translate it for Ukrainians. Yeah.
How good is the English? Because your English is impeccable. Is most Ukrainians, do they speak as good English as you do? Or how is the level?
Unfortunately not. I wish it could be like this, but no. Most people speak very basic English or not at all, but we translate.
Yeah, so if teachers would come to your place, you or somebody else would translate it into Ukrainian. Yeah. All right. Well, good to know. Well, it's been truly a privilege to have you, Anastasia, on the Food Forest podcast. Also very humbling. I'm also sitting here behind a desk where it's super safe. I'm gonna knock on wood, and we don't have to worry about drones flying over our head or things falling from the sky. So yeah, a super humbling experience to be able to talk to you and you sharing openly all your experience. It takes a lot of bravery to do so. So thank you so much for being on the Food Forest podcast. If there was like one more thing you'd like to say to our listener, what would that be? Don't stop believing that people are good. Yeah. Keep believing that people are good. Keep believing that people are good. Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, listener, for being here on the Food Forest podcast. If you want to learn more about Anastasiya Volkova or learn more about what we are doing, you can visit us on our website, foodforestpodcast.com. And I see you next week for our next episode. Thank you very much.